Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Modern Overman. Okay, so for today's video, I got another bit of lengthy opinion video. I'm sure you'll see by the thumbnail and by the title of this video. I want to talk about Hunt Showdown 1896, 1 year later since the Hunt relaunch, and then also kind of talk about, the midway point of this ongoing event, the Judgment of the Fool. Obviously, by the time this video goes live, it'll be there's less than half of time of the event left. But and I'd kind of initially planned on doing this halfway through the event. But it just got away from me with doing drops and then, working on other videos. Those videos, the last two, our Thunder Shower video and our Rat video, kind of took a little bit of extra time. But it's no big deal. I still want to talk about this topic that I had kind of thought of, and I mean, it's less of a review of 1896 and its whole update, because a lot of things have changed since then. Meta changes. I mean, kind of, but not really. Just overall like game balance stuff. I guess the first thing that we'll talk about is the event itself, and I gotta say, this is a pretty disappointing event. Just overall, we used to get, a few more weapons, a few more skins, and it used to be, a decent chunk of time, but not too long of time to do the event. I feel like they really overcooked this in a bad way. And I mean, just for starters, it's way too long of an event for too little of content. Having it be nearly 90 days, a 3-month long event, is just insane. If it was 2 months, maybe 45, 50 days, I think that would be perfectly fine. Part of the reason why they expressed having it be this length of time is, people, according to them, people claiming that they don't have enough time to finish the event. I find that completely ridiculous. Maybe for new players, and maybe that's what they're constantly aiming for, are new players, because Hunt Showdown, the player count is slowly fading, and so they're having to rely on new players all the time. But anybody who's played this game 100 plus hours, maybe in the 500-hour range, will know how to easily get through the event. You buy just the single battle pass, so that way you can do all of every single weekly challenge and not just the ones that are locked behind the weekly battle pass. And you do all of those for your week, and then just playing normally, collecting points. As long as you're not dying constantly. Maybe you have a good team, maybe you're a good solo. Like, you can get through this event. You can get through every event. I get through every single event with plenty of time to spare. Now, typically, I don't ever get the final charm because I don't really care about charms. And I'm usually not like trying to push to get the last 15,000 points. But in the case of this event, from the time this video is going live and dropping, I probably finished everything on the event 3 weeks prior. And there's still about a month left to go, maybe slightly under a month now left to go. And so I'm, really curious, like, who is still needing to finish all the points, and this is me playing like maybe a couple of days during the weekend. I'm not playing every single day. I'm usually only playing maybe a maximum 2 days, sometimes 3 days out of the week, to get, and that's all the time I need to get all my points, and do the challenges. And I'm not even doing all the challenges, and I'm getting plenty of points to finish the event, and again, having finished it. So it's way too long of an event, just way too long. And then, for the amount of content that we get, there's only there's 300 skins, and one of them is a reskin of the Fool, right? So it's one skin, it's 2 skins in one. So those are the three major hunter skins, and then I mean, so there's some Bloodbond skins as well, and then like the two legend, Croc guys, Gator guys came back, from a quest line that was forever ago, back when they initially released Thundershower, and then. As far as like, so there's no new weapons, there's only weapon skins. And then, we did get to Sal back at the beginning of the event, which was huge. And I talked about that in my map video that came out a little bit ago. I am very glad that we got to Sal back. It was way too long. And I'm glad that they took their time to do it right and make it look gorgeous. I'm not faulting them for that. I'm very happy with the Sal. In fact, it's probably like my favorite map right now. I love it, and I loved DeSalle before, but before they did the update, it kind of looked pretty poopy. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, I'm very happy DeSalle is back. That's a big thing. But now Hunt is just the way it was before the update. We just have all, I guess like now we have 4 maps instead of 3. But we had 3 strong maps beforehand before the update, and now we have Mammon's Gulch. I'm happy for that. As far as other things in the within the context of this event, again, no new weapons, and that's disappointing. I do know that they've said they're like, hey, we're going to focus more on, balance changes and other updates over slinging out a whole bunch of new content. Obviously, about halfway through, we did get Thundershower back, which, I'm happy with. But again, that's only on 2 maps. They couldn't even finish it for the other 2 maps, which is just like, I don't know. I gave my thoughts on that on my Thundershower video, so I'm not going to rehash them here. As far as the other things go, though, within the event, like the Catalyst trait, I do like the Catalyst trait. Although I do think that it is boosting those other traits. Like, it's not like they're making them OP, but it's just like, why not just buff those traits? It just kind of seems like, not an afterthought, but it is kind of an afterthought, like, if you think about it. You've got Beast Face that doesn't set off, branches and kennels and birds and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I think before it's just like you would pledge to a certain pact, and if you just had those traits, then those traits would be buffed, and then you could get another unique trait. So there was no new unique traits. It's not like they brought back Blademancer or anything like that. While I do appreciate the buffed traits that we got for this event through Catalyst, I do feel like it's kind of it's a bit of an afterthought. And like I'm not using any, I'm not going out there and getting Gunrunner or Corpse Seer. Just like that just doesn't interest me as a player. I'm sure it appeals to a lot of people as well, so like take that what it may, take that as you will. As far as the hideout is concerned, I do think that again it's just more of the same. It's more of the circus tent. It's more of I don't know. I don't really remember the last one that we got. I don't think we got one in the Garden of the Witch. I think there was just special cards. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fine. It doesn't provide much cover. Having to go underneath, it's kind of like just a glorified Hunter's Tower. That's really all it is. So it's not like a whole lot of thought was put into it. So I don't know. I do like that, you can get your resupply there. There's more often a chance to get, red traits. What are those called? Burn traits. I do like there's a better chance to get burn traits there at the hideout. But it's just, I don't know. It's just still kind of uninspired to me. Kind of get it. It's a slimmed down version of what they would normally do for a bigger event, but again, just with how long this event is drawn out and the little amount of content that we've gotten, I don't know. I'm just kind of, it's just like not very interesting to me. And I guess that just kind of goes on to my next topic here, and that is just overall event fatigue. I mean, one of my biggest issues is that in a single boss contract, it's never just a single boss. So if you think about it, with the hideout involved, there is an opportunity on a single boss to get a special bounty token that you can spend trait points on, or spend event points on, rather. And that gives you a bounty token, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen people just go and get that and then extract without getting into any sort of fight. They're just like, oh, I got a bounty token, I got my money, now I can go into the next game, you know, with a little bit more cash and a little bit more experience point on my hunter. And so it's either that on a single boss, or you get a single boss and one of the wild card, you know, one of the wild targets, either Hellborn or Racha. And that's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of disappointing. And so the biggest thing with the events is that there's just not enough incentive, often or not, to go towards the boss. And then in a double bounty contract, you know, you could just have bad luck where, you know, you go to a boss and it's right near an extract and nobody shows up for it and they're off fighting out the other boss, and you're like, well, I don't really have an incentive to go all the way up there with a bounty token and potentially lose it. You know, like, I'm right here next to an extract, I might as well go down there. Or you get the opposite problem where you're up at a boss, there's no extracts, you kill it, and then everybody else is fighting down at the other boss that's much closer to an extract, and they do all their fighting, and they're like, well, after all that, we're not going to go up to the other boss, we're going to go and just extract. You know, it's very rare to me where I see players do running the gauntlet, so to speak. And so I don't know, I feel like that is just the name of the game now. And then just overall event fatigue, I don't know, man. I mean, I feel like they're truly running out of ideas. And the thing is that events are supposed to bring players into the game, but when they last so long, and when there's almost no downtime between events, I mean, there was, you know, a little bit ago earlier this year, and, you know, that's fine, you know, and we had to have Vanilla Hunt for a while. I feel like that's great, but there was hardly anybody playing, because people only come back for the events. And with just how little that they're adding, and like, I mean, I don't know, like, I feel like an event should do something significant to where it like really changes up the meta and it does something unique. And I just feel like we're just doing the same shit over and over again. You know, for a while it was pledging to packs, and that was kind of fun for a little bit, but then that got stale. And now we're in another loop where it's just stale again, and I don't really know what they could possibly do to make events either more interesting or just Hunt in general that much more attractive. The frustrating thing is that Hunt's gunplay and sound are really unique, and that's a huge draw to players like myself, and it's frustrating that sort of feels squandered a lot. And I don't know what they could possibly do for another event. You know, obviously they're going to bring Thunder Shower to the other two maps, Lawson Delta and DeSalle, and that's great, but also, like, is that going to be it? You know, I'm sure they could improve the UI, which we'll talk about here in a minute. You know, but I just don't see what they could possibly do. I mean, I'm sure they have plans for another boss and another wildcard target in the works. But they did spend all that time on working out the Ursa Mortis, the bear, you know, mini boss that was at the clown tent for the Murder Circus event. And then they did bring it back in a way now where, like, there's, I think, upwards of 3 bears per map, just like in the wild areas of the game. And, like, that's nice, I guess. But it doesn't really do much aside from potentially dropping a trait, you know, which is like a glorified meathead. And on top of that, it doesn't really do much. I mean, you can hide from it, right? It's not going to come and seek you out unless you're bleeding. And I don't know. It would be more interesting if a wild card target or a special AI would actually seek out players who are camping just in the wild. I feel like that would be a much better use of resources, and it would get people moving and stop them from being just stationary in one place. And so, yeah, so maybe they're working on planning out a new wild target or a new AI. I'm skeptical, but we'll just have to see. And then a new overall boss. I mean, we've had the same four bosses now since like 2022, maybe 2023. I can't remember exactly when Scrap Week was dropped into the game, but it's been quite a while. And I'm not saying that that'll revitalize the health of the game, but it's like, okay, like, come on, And the other thing is, too, is like, we're not going to be getting a new map anytime soon. Definitely not, because they just spent all this time reworking DeSalle. And so at most, if the game still has enough of a player count and people are still playing the game and the game still has funding, then maybe we'll get a new map in 2027. So like I wouldn't hold out for that. And yeah, I would not hold out for a new map. Maybe we'll get some new wildcard conditions aside from just Thunder Shower. I mean, we had the Ash Bloom wildcard condition, but that came specifically after the Inferno wildcard conditions, and I think that they could definitely bring those back. But like, what are the stages of that release? What is that going to be like? Are they going to do one map at a time? Are they going to do two maps at a time? I mean, because obviously it takes time to do it on each map, and so like what is the drip feed gonna look like? Because that's what we're used to at this point, is drip feed content from Crytek. So I just don't know like what we're gonna get. Are we ever gonna get Serpent Moon back? That would be kind of nice. Are we ever gonna get a new time of day, or are these wildcard conditions, they're just including them in times of day now rather than wildcard conditions? I mean, as of right now, Thunder Shower, it has a very low pick rate. I think it's something like 20 or 30%. It's not like impossible to get, but people I see on social media, they're like, "Oh yeah, I have yet to see Thunder Shower. I didn't even know he was back." It's just like, "Oh, okay." Like that's pretty wild. And like I hardly play, and I see it like a decent, percentage of time. And so I'm just not sure like what they could possibly do, and like the rate at which they bring content seems so slow, like, so what's it going to be? Are we going to get a new time of day? Are we going to get another wildcard condition? I would like to see Inferno back. I would love Serpent Moon to come back, and they never did a Blood Moon, which would be really amazing. Like, how cool would that be to get a Blood Moon, or like Eclipse or something like that? I mean, like, come on, like, these ideas are just waiting there. I don't know, like, how, like, they should think of something. I mean, shit, dude, like, Diablo did a Berserk crossover. We could do a Berserk crossover. Fuck it, dude. The game is already goofy enough, and it kind of fits the aesthetic, right? So, just do it. Do like a Guts and Griffith. I mean, this is genius, actually. Right now, I'm thinking about this. Is that the Judgment of the Fool event that's going on right now? You have the Fool and the Judge versus each other. Do a Berserk crossover, and you have Griffith and Guts versus each other, and you get four skins. You get like Guts as just like the Black Swordsman, his gear, and then you get Guts in the Berserker armor, and then Griffith as like just his sort of white Hawk Knight armor, and then his Femto gear. Like, dude, I'm giving Crytek ideas right now. They should pay me. And then like have the Eclipse, the Advent, be the time of day. I mean, come on. Like, come on. Like, that would be fucking genius. I don't know why I didn't think of that in my wildcard video. We should, like, come on. Like, that'd be great. But that's enough spitballing. The other things I want to talk about are just sort of what we've gotten and what they what they still really need to do to the game. We got to style back, which is great. I am very happy about that. Like I said, who knows when we're going to get another map? You know, I've talked about that to death now. But the other thing is that there are still important issues that I feel like they haven't addressed when they updated the UI to what it is now. You know, people complained vehemently when they relaunched the game of wanting the old UI back. I feel like they made it overly complicated. It made it look like a mobile game or copied it from Call of Duty. And it's just like, we just wanted the simplicity back. It was perfect before. You didn't need to make this huge change. Like, just give it a visual overhaul, you know, to match with how it looks like now, you know, how the game looks like. But you didn't need to do all these changes. And so they had to revert back to so many different things that people liked and preferred. And it's still broken. There are things that still just don't work. Like just little quality of life things that they could do that they've, you know, that continuously fucked up on. And so it's just confusing to me that they can't do these little obvious fixes, you know, and then bugs that they've said they're like, oh, don't worry, we'll fix this. And they supposedly fix it and they're still not fixed. It's kind of like, you know, when you come back to into the menu and you go back and it sticks on that one screen, you know, like the not the accolade screen, I can't remember what it is, but you know what I'm talking about. It goes back to that. We still don't have a cursor back for console players. I feel like having the cursor was really nice instead of having to use all these buttons on the console. It's just frustrating. The other couple things I'll talk about before we finish up today is, you know, a few of the meta stuff and then overall game health things. I feel like the meta right now, it is so far gone from people just using long ammo. I mean, in the 6-star lobbies, you know, it's people doing gun runner and they have, you know, a long ammo rifle and then a shotgun, you know, like something with slugs or crown and then a Mosin Spitzer, something like that. Or like people were taking 2 nitros, you know, one with bleed and one with explosive. I mean, the meta right now is just, it's just like, how fucked up can we be? Like, how annoying can it be? You know, right now I've been playing really ratty, where I've got the Maynard Sniper Silencer with high velocity and a hunter's bow, because like it's so much easier to like stick far away and not engage, because like, you know, luckily trades aren't nearly as bad of an issue, you know, but people with higher ping, which we'll get to in a moment, and just the way that people play, you know, people hardly move, you know, like at least like when I'm playing my rat loadout, like I am moving all around the map, you know, and trying to pursue other players or pursue the objective. I ran into a player today who all he did was trap up the hideout and then extracted. That's all he did. That's all he did. A 6-star. You know, and so it really makes me concerned for the overall health of the game. Like if people, like long-term players, like if they're going to stick around for that. I'm certainly getting close to, you know, maybe not, you know, maybe people don't care about my opinion on the matter, you know, I don't know, but I'm concerned, you know, for the long-term health of the game. You know, it's like Beetles, you know, they were meant to be this anti-camping mechanic, and yet people use them to camp. And Crytek doesn't seem to have done anything about that. Like, I don't see why when you pick up the bounty token, the timer doesn't just start to decrease a little bit faster. I feel like you could do something like that. I feel like as a solo, if you have Magpie, if you kill a boss, like you should be able to pick up both bounty tokens. And then if somebody kills you, you know, they're like, oh, well, you know, here's multiple bounty tokens again. You know, I feel like they should do something like that. Or maybe just only have one bounty token per target. You know, either boss or wild target. You know, have something like that. and then Magpie gets there. You as a solo, you get the double uh, boost to Darksight. I don't see why you couldn't do that. It's just troubling, the where the game is going, like the amount of fun, and then on top of that, the event fatigue and like the variety in the game. Like I don't know what they could possibly do. Bounty Clash was really popular at first, but I hardly hear people talking about that. I don't know. It's just not something that is part of the conversation online and in socials. Obviously, they update it. They give you new compounds to play in, and maybe I would have more fun doing that. But the thing is like it quickly went from everybody running shotguns to having a lot of fun just rushing in and fighting, to where like, oh, people are just going to hang out with long ammo rifles and sit back and just wait for people to run for the extract, and I don't know, that's just not fun anymore. The other thing is that like they nerfed long ammo really badly, and then claimed that like, oh yeah, the penetration, that was a bug for 6 years, and we're finally just like reducing its penetration. That wasn't a bug. It was intentional. It was intentional because long ammo was supposed to be the top tier rifle, types of rifles that you would use. It was supposed to be the best, and they've just continuously nerfed long ammo in favor of custom ammo and trying to bring everything up to long ammo's level, because newer players and people who are just not very good at the game, and can't get that much money we're struggling against long ammo players. I mean, that's why they changed the prestige system to where you prestige and you just have everything unlocked, and all you have to do is like unlock variants and stuff like that. I mean, that's why they did it, to make it easier for newer players, because veterans and people with good amount of experience and who are good at the game, they don't need to. It's not hard for them to unlock new weapons and to grind that prestige. It just isn't very hard for them. And so it's all about new players. It's all about making it more casual. The last thing that I will talk about here is region lock. I feel like we are severely under served with keeping playing different regions free and clear. It hurts the game. It hurts the user experience, but nobody wants to talk about that. If you are playing on US West like I do, and you have people from China or Russia in your servers, or Oceania, it gives them an advantage, and it puts you at a disadvantage because they're playing at higher ping, and so they don't have any sort of high ping lock system or region lock system. I don't think you should be able to pick your region. I just don't think so. If you queue up with friends who are playing in different regions, then it should put you in the best server with the lowest amount of ping for your players, do an average, kind of like what they talked about. But I don't think you should get to pick. I just don't think so. And if that means that certain partners, who are big time streamers, can't play to it with each other, then, that sucks. But like, it's literally ruined the experience for other players who are like trying to take the game seriously. And I just, it's frustrating, when you get into a game and you're running with, people who have a much higher ping than you. I mean, somebody, please convince me. Give me an argument in the comments below how that makes it a better experience. I would like to know, seriously. Anyway, so it's been a year since we've gotten 1896, and it's largely the same. We have one new map. We don't have any of the other wildcard conditions back. We don't have fire. We don't have ash bloom. It's not like I want ash bloom. I don't. Fire would be nice. It would be cool. But we only have thunder shower on 2 maps instead of all 4. There's a decent amount of new weapons since the game did its relaunch, but nothing like all that interesting. I'm not saying you need to like go above and beyond. I think that making the aftermath custom ammo instead of long ammo and just have it be its own thing, that would be a great idea, right? It's not like I see long, aftermaths that much anymore. I don't. Um, you know, weapon variety I feel like has slowly uh, gone down the tube. And so again, just overall, I feel like we're getting the same sort of shit. We're getting event fatigue. I'm getting major event fatigue. There's nothing really new being added to the games that much anymore. It's a lot of the same crap. And with competition coming out, you've got Arc Raiders coming out in October. You have um, Delta Force, Battlefield 6. You've got the new Call of Duty this year. There's a lot of competition that's going to be taking players away. Maybe not specifically in the extraction shooter space. If Marathon comes out next year and it's good, then I suspect a lot of people will want to play that. When Hunger comes out, I know a lot of people, it kind of shares a really similar audience. And if it comes to console, I mean, dude, like, it's got a similar aesthetic, similar vibe, but like, who's going to be playing Hunt, dude? I just don't know. So with that being said, I'll leave that all here. I'll leave that on the floor for you guys to ponder and let me know what you think. I do really want to know what you guys think. If anybody is like just having blast still, let me know too down in the comments like what your playtime is. I would love to know that as well. I mean, I have 3,500 hours, maybe a little bit more, maybe 3,600 hours now. I'm not a big time veteran. I didn't start on PC. So I don't have like over 10,000 hours, but I would still like to know, what your experience is of the game, how you feel Hunt is doing, and like how much time you've put into it. If you've got like, 700 hours in the game and you love it, dude, that's great. That's great for you, man. That's awesome. I hope you can continue having fun. But for people like myself who have over 1,000 hours in the game, I would like to know what you think too. If you're getting over it, and wanting something new, wanting something fresh. Anyway, thank you guys for stopping by. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.